welcome XIANGPENG. From Egypt, please welcome Omar ASSAR.
And here comes Omar ASSAR, who is the older of these two at 33, but he belies that and he jogs his way across to the chair there, taking on the youngster from China, who we haven't seen a whole lot of in terms of the major WTT series matches of late. Remember, they're playing the best of 5, so don't go anywhere, folks. First to 11 as usual here, and that's what we're going to be seeing all the way up to the quarterfinals here. Let's have a little look at the tail of the table here in terms of WTT action. They met at the China Smash in Beijing, where it was a round of 32 victory for XIANGPENG by 3 games to 1. They have met actually going back to 2019 on 3 occasions in total, and Omar ASSAR won the first 2 matches 4-1 and 4-3. Come back to that in just a moment. Park Ma-Luen is the umpire for this one, and she will very shortly be summoning the players across to her. And this really is one that jumps out at you here in terms of the backstories, the contrast between these 2 men that are playing this one. And Fraser's going to give us his thoughts on that very, very shortly. But let's get to the toss before we do anything else, as Omar's not in any great hurry to do that, unlike his younger opponent.
Convert toss.
He's a wily customer, Omar, doing things in his own time. Now it's time for that toss.
Blue and red. Red for Shine, blue for Omar. Blue, side, serve, receive. Service, side.
Okay, so they've decided who's doing what as far as what will happen when this match gets underway. Fraser, tell us a little bit about this one. Probably fair to say that Omar ASSAR has just slipped off in terms of his stats in Champions and Smash competition recently. For XIANGPENG, he's one of those dangerous Chinese players who we haven't seen a lot of, but we know the quality he possesses.
Great to be with you, John. Absolutely. I mean, ASSAR hasn't managed to win any matches in the previous 3 champions that he's played. On his day, the Pharaoh's very dangerous. XIANGPENG will feel also like he's due a great performance after getting to the semis of the China Smash.
Just digging into the stats, and this year in Champions and Smash, he's only coming... His game's basically built on a 36% serve win percentage, which is nowhere near good enough, and he knows that. So his stats are down, Omar. As for his opponent, well, what do we know about him? Well, we know that XIANGPENG comes into this one 3 events played this year, and he's picked up a senior title in his time. He's a player who we saw in action in the Singapore Smash. Let's also remind you that the champion here in the men's and the women's singles will be taking away 40,000 here. The reward for being in the round of 32 is 4,500. They play for 6,000 if they can progress from this one. When you go back into history, we haven't seen a lot of XIANGPENG in terms of 2025. We saw him play very little in 2024, but what we have seen of him has compelled you to give him your vote at worldtabletennis.com. 61% of the vote going with XIANGPENG here. Do you understand that, Fraser?
He's been doing better in doubles than singles. Won the men's doubles at the season opening Star Contender in Doha, but his last 3 events, best he's done is the round of 16 in Muscat. So, yeah, he will feel like he's long overdue a big win.
So a couple of players about whom we might say need to do better.
From their perspective, absolutely.
Okay. Intriguing. Who's it going to be then?
Shine versus Omar, first game. Shine to serve, love or. Sorry. Omar to serve, love or. love 1.
First point greeted with a bit of industry from XIANGPENG.
Two love.
This is good here from the former World Youth Champion. Seeing a few former World Youth Champions here, aren't we? The top seed, Tomokazu Haramoto. Xue Fei, more relevantly, who's a bit older than XIANGPENG.
Absolutely rattled that first serve, loses the point, but you can see that he's looking to really get at Omar Assar right from the start here.
Assar's such a big guy, and it's very difficult to reach this level of table tennis as someone over 6 foot. To protect that crossover section is key. Assar doing it well there with the fanning backhand.
And he got the break off the net there, and that's helped him just turn things around. It had been a slow start for Omar Assar, but now he's in lead.
Yeah, good length there as well. Double bouncer. XIANGPENG thought it was attackable, and it wasn't. Realised it a little bit too late, but great quality on that backhand touch from the Egyptian.
Yeah, he was in Chennai for the WTT Star Contender last week. Omar went up to the winning player, Oh Jun-sung, in the round of 16.
2-5.
There's so many phenomenal young players now in the world of world table tennis. This is the new era. We're here now, aren't we? We're seeing it in many national teams.
We've seen him really drill that serve twice now. This time he wins the point on it. And just to continue that point you were making about XIANGPENG, when we see these quality young Chinese players who, for one reason or other, haven't had as much exposure, there's a hunger to them, isn't there? They know this is their chance, their time to shine.
Well, they're so replaceable, and that's the pressure that ultimately forces them to have to play well.
It's just caught the table.
5-4.
There's so many waiting in the ranks. I mean, Wang Yo-tsung, for example, he's coming up and through now as well, putting extra pressure on XIANGPENG to get good results.
6-5.
He's having to cope with that serve that's coming at him fast and deep. And that one just caught Omar Assar hopping.
So physical. Look at that for a pivot. I mean, the strength in his base. So engaged in his core, XIANGPENG.
And he's so quick about his work, isn't he, Fraser? Bustling around the table here, XIANGPENG.
Yeah. With good services, he can get Assar scrambling. Assar is a player who lives for the open play. Likes to go back a little bit more to give himself space and time. XIANGPENG can play wide serves, unpredictable long serves as well, into middle. He should be able to finish the point relatively early with his power.
There's the power
6-7.
from Omar Assar, who loved that one.
It's a good counter there. I'd say that the backhand of Assar is relatively safe.
Not that time.
8-6.
Too much to ask there. He manoeuvred him into no man's land. This one was good. Assar fishing. Couldn't reel it in.
And winning that point meant he's taken 6 of the last 8 points. As he leads by 2.
8-6.
Yeah, didn't play that too powerfully there. Left it in front of Assar, who couldn't produce enough racket speed over the ball there to make it clever.
6-10.
And that gives him a much-needed little break there, and 4 game points, XIANGPENG.
Net 6-10.
Brilliantly done by the young Chinese player there. And Omar Assar has got a lot to ponder here as he leaves the table, because XIANGPENG seems to have answers.
And that was after a slow start as well from the Chinese player. Turned it around, turned the table so quickly. Dominant in the end.
So some thoughts there from coach Chen Jiang, and he's taken out the first game.
Time.
So coaches Subi and Chen do their thing, and then it's time for the players to get back to the table. Trotting back into action is Omar Assar, but he's up against a player. Just looking at some of those replays, and some brilliant angles, some low angles there. Fraser, you were struck by the lower body strength of XIANGPENG. I'll come back to that point in just a moment, but look out for this guy's legs, by the way, and what he does with them.
One love.
Generates so much power.
His legs are honestly like an Olympic cyclist. Could power a toaster. Look at the definition there. I mean, Assar, incredible shape as well, but it's the way that XIANGPENG moves. He's such a forehand orientated player, which is more typical, actually, of a previous generation Chinese star. Lin Shedong's, even for a short guy, looking to play the backhand from the middle, not pivoting all too often.
The power game. Did you say he could power a toaster?
Yeah, easily. Stunning.
Oh, look at that. He's picked up 12 of the last 16 points with this power play.
3-1.
And Omar Assar needed that, needed something different, needed to change the tune.
He does possess an underlying level of power himself, Assar. But XIANGPENG's serve-receive game's better. Assar's game is almost built to outlast the opponent. He's a rally player, but not getting an opportunity really to find rhythm, to get into any kind of flow state, the Egyptian.
Oh, and that's a show of frustration directed towards the coach there. And we've seen this serve so many times. He should know what's coming.
That serve makes Assar act prematurely. It's a pendulum serve, but that side spin kick made it tough for Assar to play the receive that he thought he could.
He's got a lot of problems to cope with here. 1-5 down in the second, having dropped the first.
2-5.
Assar's really struggling to trap the spin on XIANGPENG's pendulum. Has to win this point. He's changed to the backhand serve here, Omar.
2-5. (6-2).
And he's not happy. He's an experienced player, of course. He's a man who again won the African title not that long ago.
(6-3).
That's the best shot he's played all match. Whistles past XIANGPENG. Trying to receive with the forehand, that's better. That's much better. Trying to touch that, trap it.
Oh,
3-7.
well, he was sent wide and he was running, and on the run produces an absolutely stunning winner.
Just trying to play one too many backhands, but this is amazing. Against that fanning backhand to find the line with such precision.
3-8.
Got that all wrong there, Omar, and he's under pressure here.
Is it going to be another first round exit for the Pharaoh at the champions level?
Highlighted that serve earlier.
8-4.
In champions and smash action, coming into this one with just a 36% points won on serve, something that has let him down, but he's up against more than just that. So Assar's at 40, so he's barely nudged that one up, but obviously this is the serve that's been doing the damage.
And there he brings out something even a little bit more different, the shovel serve, to give himself more time on that third ball. Assar can't receive it powerfully enough or with good enough placement.
That's good though,
5-9.
because the pace of that rally, the intensity, just ratcheted up a notch or two.
Net.
In the men's game, you really
5-9.
realise if you've got time for a block, you've probably got enough time for a counter, and it so often has to be a counter.
6-9.
Twice now we've seen that. Do you call that one the fanning backhand? He's worked it to good effect there.
That one was more just of a brush up.
Brush, yeah.
Did well though, because XIANGPENG pushed to the middle. If Assar would have come in too quickly, he would have been caught out there.
Nice little run of points for Assar. And it continues
9-7.
within 2 now, having looked down and out in this second.
Timeout.
And such a good little run of points that timeout called after belatedly in this match. The Egyptian has found a way against his younger Chinese opponents. Let's just listen in. So lengthy instructions there from Coach Chen. The message basically was, overall, you're playing well. Wanted a little bit more out of the XIANGPENG backhand in terms of what he does with it. But let's not take anything away from Omar Assar, who put together a good little string of points there. But his problem now is that timeout might just have come at the worst possible time for him, which is why you take them. 3 game points. Oh, what a recovery. Somehow managed to get it back and stay alive in the second.
That was so clutch there. Good compensation after a poor receive. Keeps himself in this one by the skin of his teeth.
And he went to that backhand serve again, but it was the forehand that went long, and as a result, he's now up against it, staring at a 2 games to love deficit in this match against a hustling, bustling opponent from China here in XIANGPENG. What a great timeout. Took it, used it, and now leads by 2. Let's just remind you who the men's seeds are. Top seed Tomokazu Haramoto goes in the 8th of our first session matches later on. Hugo Calderano, fresh from a trip to Chennai, is there, as is Felix Lebrun, Truls Modegaard, Patrick Francisca in 5th. Then Lingoya, who could be a dangerous 6th seed in this one. Dang Chiu from Germany and Jang Woo-jin from Korea rounding out our top seeds here as we're just getting started. And we're seeing an impressive showing from the player from China, XIANGPENG.
game, Omar to serve, love all. Let love all.
It's worth
Love
mentioning
one.
that XIANGPENG is the only Chinese man in this half of the draw. Top half of the draw, we've got Lin Gao Yuan, Chen Yuan Yu, Xue Fei. That's pressure. Seems to be playing well under it right now.
Yeah, just looking to that draw, the winner of this one, at the moment it looks like being XIANGPENG, would go on to face the winner of the Zhang Wujin Gao Zhongrui encounter in the round of 16. I've got to say that I see similarities between XIANGPENG and Gao Zhongrui in particular. Very sort of busybody, very active, hustly, bustly kind of players.
Yeah.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves, because that in itself is going to be a great matchup. And this one's not done.
I like this service from XIANGPENG. I think he would have got the receive there that he wanted, but perhaps a little bit of residual spin.
Well, it's the start that Omar Assar needed. And it continues. And he's vocal, and he has to make something happen now if he's to extend his stay in Korea.
Well, we knew that he'd be backing himself, Assar. The fact that he's got that positive head-to-head overall against XIANGPENG. Yes, those meetings were quite a while ago.
Well, the 2 he won, that's right.
2-4.
Got a 14% win rate against Team China Stars.
And again, before you jump into that stat in isolation, you've got to say 14 might not be the worst, given the overall standing of Team China players.
Far better than most will ever have.
Time out.
Oh, there's a call.
Yeah.
Interesting timing for this one. 4-3 up in a must-win third game.
Makes sense. You understand why he's calling this.
Time called, and it's time nearly up for Omar Assar. He'll say no, he's been here before, he's experienced, but as we said at the very start of this match, it's not been at his best in the elite level WTT matches lately.
4-all.
We're talking smash and champions, and he's immediately sent onto the back foot for 4-all in the third against his opponent, XIANGPENG, who leads by 2 games.
Full commitment on the backhand there. That was better from Assar. Can't just block, fish. Has to really commit. Put pressure on XIANGPENG.
And there we are. You spoke about the muscle that we see on XIANGPENG, but of course Omar Assar's a fabulous athlete, and when he gets warmed up and gets around that table, he's a physical threat.
Yeah, and that was better inside the table from him there. Showing a bit more of his flair.
4-7.
And that physicality just looks as if it's unsettled XIANGPENG a little bit here. The aggression we've seen from the Egyptian.
Got to realise there's no time to get going. You have to start as you mean to go on. You have to come firing out with the blocks at each point.
4-7.
Not necessarily all with power play, but everything has to have intensity, intent to it. Far better.
8-4.
Pounces on that service there.
He's got a 4-point lead now. He's worked for it. Can he convert?
Eight, 4.
This is the last thing I expected to see after XIANGPENG pegged it back to level pegging. 4 apiece.
Not this time, though.
8-5.
He might have one of the broader wingspans on the circuit, Omar Assar, but there was no getting this one. Well, he came up with some real invention on the serve there, but it didn't give him what he wanted.
Divisive play from XIANGPENG, focusing on rotation with that backhand.
Again, so quick.
7-8.
Amazing. Kept the bat high because of the lack of time that he had. Decent switch from Assar down the line here. Beautiful.
Again, really good direction from Omar Assar. That time he made sure there was no getting that back.
That was a really high difficulty shot. How on earth has he managed to play such an angle off that kind of serve?
Yeah, the celebration told you what that meant. And then it was about survival, but he couldn't, and it's really compelling, this third game. It's 9-8 now. It's been seesawing.
Nice hooking one out wide to guide it with side spin, and then the other corner. Assar trying to focus more on finer contact at the first stage of the rally. Working well for him.
Can he serve his way to a foothold in this match?
9-4.
And we're tied up at 9s. So XIANGPENG just needs a couple, but he's down. He's dropped down to 57% wins on his serve. Omar, of course, has just edged up to 42. Can the man from China keep his cool and get it done?
Nine, 10.
You call what happens next, Fraser. It's game point, Omar Assar.
Well, XIANGPENG has the service. This would be so good if Assar could add another chapter to this tale.
Oh, but he can't. He was looking to win it on the XIANGPENG serve. Can't, and we're tied up at 10s.
Good sensory play from XIANGPENG. Knew it'd be really tough for Assar to read that serve. No pivot from the Egyptian. That was crafty play from Xiang.
Oh, and a big point there and a huge celebration, and it's another game point for Omar Assar.
We're seeing a few more of these rallies blossom into forehand to forehand.
The serve again sent him so wide. Kicking out there.
And Assar tried to play it with the forehand from extreme backhand.
Players.
Had to improvise because he didn't know what serve was going to muster.
This is fantastic stuff. 11-all. Not that time.
11.
And now it's a match point that goes the way of XIANGPENG. Oh!
12 all.
Talk about staying alive somehow, anyhow. Heart-stopping moment there.
Goodness, I mean, we saw it with Seok-Hwan, didn't we, against Ju Ling? Similar kind of ball there to keep the player in the match.
And that's a wry smile on the face of Coach Chun there. So 12 all thanks to the intervention of the net cord. And that's now converted into a game point for Omar Assar, having saved a match point.
all.
When he needs it, the XIANGPENG serve is coming through. He went for it, he didn't get it, and that is now match point. XIANGPENG once again. Coach up off his chair, player clenching the fist. They know that was a huge point.
It was festering, wasn't it? It was brewing. It was vocal.
And now he serves for the match. But can't take it. Oh, this is wonderful stuff here in Incheon.
This is, for me, where Assar's at his best from mid-distance, feeding off pace, sponging up speed and spin.
Players.
Calm down, says the coach.
15,
but
14.
we're just seeing a couple now of occasions when they're reaching, snatching at it, because tension has crept into this Infinity Arena.
And that's the beauty. The beauty lies in the simplicity of that short touch.
Match point number 3 now for XIANGPENG. Oh, what a way to do it! On the ground, on the forehand, and he wins it in the most spectacular manner possible. That really was entertainment indeed, and it's an impressive straight games win. But 16-14 in the third, that was when that match really came alive.
Well, it's only the second match of the event, John, but that will be one of the best finishes all week.